Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're going to be learning how to use Claude Code. This is our second video in our Vibe Coding for Beginners series. As AI tools continue to improve, it is imperative that programmers transition to use and integrate AI into their workflows. If this content is helpful for you, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And if you'd like to see another AI tutorial video, make sure that you comment down below. With that being said, let's jump right into the video. All right, so the first thing that I want to get started with is actually downloading Claude Code and getting it set up on your machine. So right here on the left, I have the commands for Mac and Linux and Windows. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much all the same, just using npm. But let's copy this over here. I'll also include it in the description down below, but you can just install it anywhere you want using a terminal or PowerShell. But let's get this downloaded, and really quickly, it already downloaded, 2 seconds. And then to make sure that you have it, I'm just going to run which Claude to ensure that it's downloaded, which it is. And then to actually run Claude Code, you can see here over in my ChatGPT window, you just run Claude. And the important part when you are running Claude is that you make sure that you run this command in the directory or the project directory that you actually want to launch Claude in. So for example, if I do an ls here, what you're going to see is that I have multiple directories opened up inside of this BridgeMind directory. So I have my API in this directory, I have my UI in this directory, I have my database in this directory, and it's up to you whether or not you want to open up or launch Claude Code inside of a larger directory that has maybe your microservices infrastructure inside of that directory, or if you want to CD into a specific, like for example, I just CD'd into BridgeMind UI and then launch Claude Code. So that Claude Code only has access to the files that are in that specific repository. So that's one thing that's very important to understand. But let's launch Claude Code, and right away what you're going to see is it's going to launch the Claude Code interface. Welcome to Claude Code. It's going to give you a couple of different tips for getting started. But this is the important thing to understand, is that there's actually two ways for you to connect with Claude Code. You can either authenticate using your Claude account. So if you have an account with Anthropic and you pay the $20 a month or the $200 a month for the pro version, you can authenticate with that, and then your usage limits for your plan apply to your use of Claude Code. Or if you want to use infinite amounts of Claude Code, you can just connect your API key. But please note that it can get expensive. So after you run Claude, you can see, hey, we launched it. I'm already authenticated, so I'm just using my personal Claude account. And let's just get started by giving it a simple prompt like you would with any other AI interface. Tell me how my project is structured. So right away, what Claude does is it gets started working on your project, similar to how Cursor would work. But the thing about Claude Code is that instead of having a user interface that's similar to VS Code, instead it runs directly in your terminal. Because Claude Code runs directly in the terminal, you may be wondering, how do I actually change the model that I want to use in Claude? What does it default to? And that would be a great question. So here on the right in my ChatGPT window, you can see some of the documentation on this. So let's launch Claude Code again. And to be able to actually specify the model in Claude Code that you want to use, all you have to do is type /model, and then you can see here that it pulled up some of the model specifications down here. So /model means that you can set the AI model for Claude Code. So once you do that, you can click enter, and let's see what we're reading here. So it says, select model, switch between Claude models, applies to this session and future Claude Code sessions. For custom model names, specify with -- model. So there's other ways that you can actually launch a Claude Code session using a specific model. So instead of having to initially launch Claude Code and then do /model, what you actually should do is, let's say you want to launch Claude Code and you know exactly what model you want to use. Well, check this out. You can do this here, Claude, and then you do this little flag command here, and you enter in the model that you want to use. So you can see here that this is going to launch Claude using Claude Opus 4.1 with it's the latest version from August 5th, 2025. So let's run this command and see what happens. So just the same exact thing that happened when we launched Claude initially, but note that instead of launching with your generic Sonnet model, it's going to launch with your Opus model. But also, please note this. Claude Pro users are not currently able to use Opus in Claude Code. The current model is now Sonnet. So back to what I said a couple minutes ago, where you can either connect to Claude Code with an API key, or you can connect with it with your actual subscription. I personally only have Claude Code or Claude Pro, I guess, on the actual website interface. I have a Claude Pro account. So if you have Claude Pro, you can use Sonnet, but you can't use some of these Opus models. If you have an API key, that's where you can actually use an Opus model. So that begs the question, how do you get an API key? Well, all you have to do is go to the Anthropic console, where you can go to console.anthropic.com/settings/keys. And there is where you can actually create your own Anthropic key. So I already created one, and all you have to do is click Create Key, and then you name your key, and it's going to give you a key. The next step is to actually set your key in your computer's environment. And the variable to be able to set that is Anthropic_API_key. So I'm going to do Control-C, and this is how you exit Claude Code, is you just do Control-C twice. So Control-C, Control-C, kind of like very quickly back to back. And then all you have to do is run this command, and I'm actually going to paste in the API key that I have. So I'm going to paste that in, and it has no effect. You're not going to see anything happen. It's not going to say Claude key set successfully, but now that Anthropic API key is now set in my environment. After setting your API key, it's very important that you then force Claude Code to actually use your API key. So initially we were using my Claude Pro account, but now we want to force Claude to use the API key instead of using the account. So let's go over here, and you can see I have a command, Claude_API key, and then you set it equal to that environment variable that we set, and then you launch Claude. So let's copy and paste this in now. And once you do this, it's going to ask, do you want to use this API key? And I'm going to switch that, and I'm going to say, yes, I want to use that API key. Now, something that's really important is you can see that Claude Code actually spit out a little warning to me because there's an auth conflict. So we have a token, Claude AI, and an API key, which is going to lead to unexpected behavior because we're authenticated both on our Claude Pro account and we're authenticated with this API key. So in order to log out and make sure that you only use the API key that you configured, you can see that what they say to do is just do /logout. So I'm going to do /logout. And then that's actually going to log me out from my Anthropic account so that now it's only going to use the API key that I just configured. Now that I have that API key configured, let's launch Claude again just by running that Claude command. And now what you're going to see is just that normal Claude screen. So let's choose the model by doing a /model. And when you click enter, what it's going to now allow you to do, it's going to now allow you to select which model you want to use. So we can use the default, which is just the recommended model. So what this is where it's essentially the auto selector. So based on the complexity of your prompt, Claude Code is going to be able to connect to a different model based on whether it needs to think more about a specific task or think less about a specific task, hopefully in terms of getting you the best outcome possible. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use Opus. So I'm going to go down, and this is $15 per input and $75 per output. So it is an expensive model, but let's try it out. So let's do Opus. And now what I want to do is I actually want to build some features and show you how Claude works in operation. All right, so here on the right, I have the BridgeMind.ai website pulled up, and you can see here that this is actually the production website, and we're going to be writing some production code to test out Claude Code. So here, I want you to take note of the nav bar. So we have a logo here, we have courses, products, resources, pricing, about, And then on the far right here, we are logged in. So if a user is authenticated, instead of showing essentially a sign up or start free trial button, we actually just want to show the dashboard button, so that anytime that a user accesses the website, that if they already have an authenticated session, that they can just go straight to the dashboard. But something that I don't like is that we have this little icon here that essentially shows the first letter of the user's email or first name. And I don't like that. I just want it to say dashboard nice and bold. So let's prompt Claude Code. And before we prompt, what's great about Claude Code is that you can actually pass images in, just like you could with Cursor, but it is a little bit different. So let's do a Control-4 and screenshot both the select part of the basically the nav bar that we want to focus in on, and then we're going to do a full page screenshot. So I passed in first essentially the very specific part that I want it to update, and then I passed in the entire page that we're looking at as a whole. And here you can see that it passed in image number 1 and image number 3. So this is just how Claude Code labels it. And now we're going to give it a prompt. Take a look at the screenshots and please notice the nav bar of the BridgeMind UI website. I want you to remove this icon on the far right when the user is logged in. I just want it to have the dashboard button on the far right in a nice bold font. So that was Whisper Flow for any of you wondering. But let's enter this prompt and see what it does. And just to note, this is different than Cursor. Cursor, you actually have your user interface where you're able to navigate the code base just like you would with Visual Studio Code. But with Claude Code, it's a lot different. So you can see here, it said, I'll help you remove the profile icon and update the dashboard button styling in the nav bar. Let me first explore the code base to understand the current implementation. So it found 19 files. It then looked at the nav bar file specifically, and then it found this part of the code that it actually needs to change. So you can see here on lines 145 to 149, it made some updates. It was 145 to 154 initially, but it removed that div that contained the current user's .email with the uppercase letter for that icon. And now what Claude Code does is it asks, do you want to make this edit to navbar? So you have 3 options. 1 is just yes. 2 is yes, allow all edits during this session, and 3 is no and tell Claude what to do differently. So those are your options. If you select number 2, you're basically going to be seriously vibe coding. You're not going to have control over what updates it makes. And this is a pretty good benefit of Claude Code, is that you can make it so that you have a little bit more control. And it also does it really nice in just being able to output the code that it updated. Like, that looks really nice to me. So I'm just going to do number 1. I'm going to do yes, and let's see what happens. So you can see here that it did exactly what we wanted it to do. It removed that icon on the right, and then it gave us a nice dashboard icon that's bolded. So let's head over to the dashboard now. And now we're pulled up into the dashboard. And I'm going to show you guys something else in the dashboard that we need to change. Right now, at the bottom of the sidebar, what you'll notice is that we have this notifications button, and I actually want this removed. So let's remove it. Take a look and find the notifications button in the sidebar in the Learn dashboard, and please remove it. Also, improve the account button and its styling. So I did 2 things there. I want the notifications removed, and now since that's being removed, I want the account button to be improved a little bit. So let's submit this. And my point with this example is that you don't have to drop in images. You don't have to drop in context. And that's because Claude Code can actually grep or search your code base, and it can think intuitively and find exactly what you're talking about without actually having to have complete reference of the file. So if you're familiar with Cursor or GitHub Copilot or any other AI-powered IDE, you'll note that you usually will reference, as in you'll drag and drop a file, or you'll drop in a file into the AI pane. But with Claude Code, there's none of that. You don't reference files typically in Claude Code, but you can, and we'll get into that next. But for right now, we're just essentially challenging Claude Code to find it itself. So let's see what happens. All right, so Claude finished making its edits. Here it outputted everything in green is its updates, and then red is essentially what it's deleting or making updates to. And then what's in green is actually the code that's going to be in your file. It's essentially just Git. But yeah, so here we have, it made 2 edits, and then I'd already accepted one. Let's accept the second, which is the mobile dashboard, I think. Yeah, the mobile header. But let's check this out. So yeah, it looks like it removed that notifications bar, and now it has a nice pop-up when I have that account for my account, which is great, and it has that profile icon. So definitely an improvement from what was there previously. So really good work from Claude Code here. All right, so I mentioned a second ago a little bit about referencing files and how Claude Code differs from standardized AI-powered IDEs in the context that it doesn't have the ability for you to be able to drag and drop files inside of a user interface. It's different. And let's see here. So we have a command here from ChatGPT. And what you'll notice is it says if you want Claude Code to read or analyze a file from the start, use the file flag. So if you want ChatGPT to work on a specific file inside of a folder, you actually have to pass in the use the file flag and then pass in the path to that file. So this is something I want to talk about because it's important, and it's that this is one drawback of Claude Code. So with Cursor, you have this user interface, and with Claude Code, you're essentially just working in the terminal. And there's some good things about that, but then there's also some drawbacks. And this is definitely a drawback. You don't have that simple interface where you can just drag and drop, and you have to do these relative paths. So definitely something to be mindful of. That's going to bring us to the end of this video. But if you can like and subscribe, there is a lot of more valuable content coming. Thanks again for watching, guys, and have a great rest of your day.